So on the direct day, April 2nd, I wonder if they're going to show off a few accessories for the Switch 2 drip. That the Switch 2 might have a second screen, as you can see from our thumbnail of this episode. The render's awesome. It pretty much depict exactly what I imagine could be with this thing.
Yeah, I mean, that little video alone had me sold for a minute. I don't know. There's so many things about this that are just the more and more I keep thinking about it, the more and more I'm like, maybe this is actually happening. But so we're gonna get into all this stuff.
Yeah.
But I told Geeb as we were talking on my way back home today that I thought it would be a good idea, and he agrees that maybe since we let's be honest, this probably isn't happening.
It's too good.
Probably not. It's too good.
The things
it's
that are
way
too good.
good. It's way too cool.
Yeah.
It's probably not happening. So I think that the best thing to do is probably just go ahead and get all the reasons why we know it's not happening out of the way. We just talk about that first, get it out of the way, and then we can go crazy with speculation and what ifs the rest of the time, because that's what we want to do, honestly. And I feel like that's way more fun than sitting here and just naysaying and talking down about it. I think it'll be way more fun. So if you're all right with that, Geeb, I have the main reason that this ain't happening.
And what would that be?
It's battery life.
Yeah, I speculate myself the Switch 2 is going to struggle with battery, almost by design. Similar to how the Switch, similar to how the Switch 1,
it's not going to have a bigger battery.
Similar to how the Switch 1 only had like 2 to 5 hours max, and then like just a couple years later they released one that's more than twice the capacity, or not capacity, just it was really the chips. The chip was more efficient. They released a more efficient chip that utilized the battery twice as good. So I feel like we're probably gonna have a similar experience with this one. I think the battery life, I think it has to be in that 2 to 5 to start. It can't be lower. It can't be lower. Which would be a feat. It would be a feat. The Steam Deck doesn't do that. So that would be a feat if they were able to accomplish that, which they need to. That's something that they have to do with this system, is good battery life. At least, and I mean, good is in like 2 to 5 is good, especially when you're looking at the handheld PC market. Fine. There's no handheld gaming consoles to compare it to, but as far as handheld PCs, 2 is good.
Yeah, 2's. I mean, yeah. If you're talking like an intensive game, 2 hours, something a little more simple in the 5-ish range, I think that's the sweet spot. If we can hit that when this thing launches, and then maybe they can do an upgrade kind of like they did and get a little bit better out of it, I think that's probably where we're going to be at. But again, I think the main problem with attaching a screen with no battery of its own to this thing that's already trying to power a screen and everything else, all the processing, you're doubling. I mean, if it's an 8-inch screen, I don't see them putting
a small
main screen, because let's think about that too. If this thing's going to be another screen, it's not going to be a smaller screen. No, because this would end up being the main screen you're looking at playing the game.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, because the bottom one would be like the whatever it would be. Yeah, if you're going to go along the lines of like the DS type thing, so you're going to put let's just say another 8-inch screen on this thing, and it doesn't even have to be touchscreen.
Well, the Switch 2 will be a touchscreen. There's no doubt.
Yes. The main screen.
Yeah,
the second screen doesn't have to be.
It will not. There's no chance that they put because then you're dealing with stability, and so it's going to make it incredibly hard to be stable.
That's the problem too, because that's another reason I'm like, well, and we're going to talk about this as we get into the fun stuff. Right now, we're talking about why it can't, but like for almost every single thing, is that a dog tail?
Look, my camera's so good you can see him now.
I see him back there.
He's not as black as nutty as it normally is. My dog in the back. Now that he's passing by the chair, you can't see him.
Yeah. I think the funner part is when we can talk about everything I say right now and how it's also a reason that this could totally happen. I think it not being a touchscreen is both of those things. I think that would probably save on some. I don't think the touchscreen. That's not even like a hot take. I think to have to remove the touchscreen feature from the second screen. There's no reason at all. The bottom one's a touchscreen, plain as day. Yeah. Well, maybe.
The Switch 2 will have a touchscreen. The Switch 2
will. No. I'm talking about We'll get there. I'm talking about the top screen. Yes, the Switch 2 is touchscreen. Obviously, there's absolutely no question about that.
So cost.
The second one,
and then the second one.
Yeah, cost is the second one. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Cost is the second one.
Battery life is the first one. And the second one, sorry, I ruined your thunder there. cost would be another one. This thing, Drip and I talked about it on Theorizing the Phone the other day. If they release this thing, the bare minimum they would charge is $99, which
well, think about it. And we kind of came to that with the conclusion of just kind of looking at the portal. It's $200, but you're also getting a controller,
a whole controller, a battery, a lot of stuff.
Yeah, plus all the other stuff that this
Wi-Fi,
thing wouldn't have in it.
The only thing if they do anything, if they do something like this and do more, they're stupid. The only thing they have to do with this thing is literally a display panel with a USB-C port coming out of it to plug into the top port or bottom port, and we'll talk about that too later. And just some sort of hinge and connective just plastic system.
The housing. Yeah, that's it.
It's 3D print it for 10 cents, and a hinge is probably 25 cents. It's really nothing. There's really nothing to this thing.
But the bare minimum, to do.
But the display, if they go with the better tech, or at least to match the display that's already in the system, it's probably in the ballpark of $20 to $25, and they're going to make a profit off of it. So I think it's going to be $99, or I think Drip at a better price. $129.99 would be like.
I feel that's where it just seems like a Nintendo price to me. That $129.99
would be like Nintendo would do nothing less than $100. Because they would make profit on if they sold it for $50, they make profit on it. But like they need a reason to do it. Like they need to make sure that if they do sell this thing, it's going to make them enough money to make it worth their while, because not everyone's going to buy this thing. So when we say cost is an issue, it's not necessarily cost to them to lose money or cost on us to be too expensive. It's just like, they need a reason to do it, and they're not going to sell hundreds of millions of units of them, maybe not even tens of millions of units. It really depends.
Well, depending on if they did it, how they would market it.
Yeah.
But I think that's a whole nother thing too. Like that's a whole nother reason why this isn't going to happen. And honestly, I'm basically out of reasons why it isn't going to happen after this. But just the fact that are we really going to expect third parties to jump on board with this dual screen thing again? Do we really want Nintendo to go down this road of dual screen again?
Yes.
With the DS and the 3DS type of stuff?
Yes.
Do we want them to I mean, you're kind of looking at these game, the third party game studios like, hey, like we know you want to put your stuff on our system, but you have to make a custom version of it with a whole nother, at least a menu system, something to cover up that other screen at this point, to do that. And I mean, then again, that's another thing too. Like they didn't show it in this, which means it tells me one thing: it ain't coming with the system. It's an add-on. So then to play these games, you're asking someone to spend another $130 or another $100, whatever it costs, to even be able to play the games. Which I feel like that, and when you get that much stuff going on, the mouse, the Joy-Cons themselves, another screen, like when you get that many things going on, you're starting to confuse the consumer. You're really starting to confuse the consumer, and I think Nintendo wants to stay away. I think Nintendo wants to stay far away from that, and I feel like adding this in, especially now, like if we see this on April 2nd, like people's heads are going to spin. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I don't necessarily agree with that, although I understand how they probably, again, like we said at the top, they're probably not going to do this.
They're not.
But like, God, there's so many reasons why they should, and I really want to tell you guys all those reasons, but before we do, and that's where I'm going to cut today's clip. Thanks so much for watching today's clip of the Drip G podcast. A little cliffhanger. We'll leave a part 2 link down below, but thanks for watching today, guys. Make sure to catch the full episode in the link down below, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.
Nintendo, every single show.